It's drilled to left field. Is it high enough? See ya! A walk-off grand slam, and the Yankees win.
And he drives one to right field over toward the line. Long run for Laureano, and he runs it, and the Mets win the ball game.
Episode 42 of The Burrows. Kevin Bunk, Michael Marlowe coming to you every week for BTO Media, talking New York baseball, everything around the league. Mike, big Mets series sweep. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk Blue Jays and Vladdy Jr. Huge contract, 14 for $500 million. Yankees win in Pittsburgh. We're talking Red Sox, Giants, Padres, Dodgers, everything around the league that you could imagine. Braves 1-8 start. We're hitting everything today and hopefully doing it in under an hour. But Mike, great series sweep for the Mets this week. Pitching looks great. I don't know if you want to start there, but I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, the pitching has been the story. The pitching has been the reason why this team is now 6-3. I posted a TikTok yesterday about how, just how great the pitching's been and where the offense is. I think the batting average is 6th worst or 4th worst in the league. The on base, I think, is 6th worst. I mean, it has been a struggle offensively for this team, but they're getting big hits at the right moments, and the pitching is just keeping them in these games. I can't believe how good the bullpen's been. I mean, a 1.29 ERA to start the year for the bullpen. It's a remarkable start.
Yeah, and we, once again, spent the whole offseason. Do they have the second best offense in the league? Do they have the worst pitching in the league? And now it's just been totally flipped. I'm sure it'll level out on both sides as the season goes on, but the fact that the offense is the side we're more encouraged about over 162 games is the one that's struggling while they're winning games early. You feel great about it because we have seen David Stearns continue to build rotations out of scraps that are top 10, top 15 in the league every year, oftentimes top 5 in the league every year. Same in the bullpen. And it looks like he's doing it again right now. I don't know if this lasts for the Mets. I don't want to get too excited about it yet, but I think it really could last to a certain extent where, they are the 7th or 8th best staff in the league, top to bottom, including the bullpen.
Well, they're going to have to get healthy in that rotation. I mean, they lost. I don't even think we talked about Manaea last week, but he had a setback, and that could add another month now to his recovery. Who the hell knows? So that's not good. You need to get healthy with this rotation, though. And these guys need to go deeper into games, Kevin. I mean, Griffin Canning, he's got some swing and miss stuff. The strikeout numbers are there, but, it can't be 4 innings. It can't be a 4-inning, 4 2/3. Same thing with Holmes. Got to go past the 5th inning because eventually, as good as this bullpen's been, we're a week and a half into the year and they've been great, but they are going to tire out. You're going to wear them out. You got to go deeper into games. This was an issue last season. They started to go deeper into games as the year went on, but it's the same story.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited about the starters, though. Griffin Canning has looked great, like a real surprise, man, because I've said it a million times. He was the leader in the league in home runs through 9 last year, and he allowed the most home runs. He was just, when they signed him, a 6th arm. It was one of those situations.
It was a joke.
Exactly. It was, all right, this depth guy was out there for veteran minimum contract where he's only getting, what is he getting, 1.7 million a year or something?
Yeah.
And they signed him, and now he's been thrust into a situation where he actually has to make meaningful starts early in the year, and through 2 starts, 2.7 ERA. He's 0-1 on the record, but who really cares? He pitched well in both games. Yeah. And he looks good. Now he figures to be a guy that maybe is in their plans moving forward once everyone gets healthy. But you also have terrific start to the season from Tyler McGill. You're a guy last year. You were just a year early. You weren't wrong. And David Peterson looks like the guy we saw the second half last season. Clay Holmes, we spoke a lot about last week on Friday, I believe, or on Thursday, whenever we did the last episode. And it was, he's battling. He's trying to figure things out. He looks the worst of the group right now, I think. But he's pitched to what, a 2, what's his ERA? A 2.
I think he's in the 3s.
He's a 2.8 right now.
2.8?
Through 2 starts. 2.8.
Right, because a lot of unearned. A lot of unearned.
Yeah, he's at the 2 unearned runs last week. So it's optimistic. It's really optimistic.
Yeah, and Senga wasn't terrible in his first start either. Bad defense behind him. he just got to keep him healthy, right? I mean, we know the stuff is there. We know as the season goes on, he'll be able to go deeper into games as well. So as long as he's healthy, you have a guy that could pitch at the top of the rotation, and it's about one of these guys really stepping up. I've been very encouraged with David Peterson. He was a big regression candidate. I have been very pleased with what we've seen so far. Yesterday, did you see what happened yesterday with Peterson? In like the fifth or something like that, he had he looked like he tweaked something, right? And all of a sudden, like, trainers come out, he's like, no, I'm good, but it looks like he's wincing, like he's hurt. And it ended up being he was nauseous and dizzy.
Okay. So
but he loaded the bases. He ended up hitting a guy with the bases loaded, and he gave up a run, and he didn't finish the fifth.
Did he get credited with the win yesterday?
Because he couldn't finish that.
He didn't, right? Okay. So he got the win in the first start. But the Mets, and then the bullpen, too, following these guys up. I mean, Diaz has looked great.
Yep.
In his 4 innings, which is huge because there was, I don't know where it was even from, but there was that article and that little bit of noise right before the season, which was just a dead time and you needed baseball articles. So someone put out I think Diaz gets pulled from the closer role in this season. That was like the take. And people started running with it a little bit. People started saying, and I saw on Twitter, they could see this happening. Diaz is the guy that, he's not fit to be the closer. And he's looked great. He's looked dominant. Kranick has looked really, really good in 7 innings pitched now. He hasn't given up a run yet.
21
looks great.
21 batters out of 22 faced retired.
Yeah, so there's something cooking here. This is not just first week of the season luck. We're in week 2 now. I get it. This stuff can flip, but there's something cooking here in the Mets development. And Mike, do you remember a time? I know you do, but every Mets fan should remember a time where no matter who was in that bullpen, it was not good.
Nope.
The Dellin Betances era, the era of right after Familia was great in 2015 and maybe 16, I don't even know. But the few years after that, they had the best starters in the league. And it wasn't like a team that they have now where they're developing good starters. They literally had powerhouse starters that you didn't even need to develop. And you know that. Yep. But they had that group after they went to the World Series in 2015, and they could not get a clean game of bullpen the entire summer. The bullpen could not come in for 6 outs even and hold down a lead. It just never happened. And every year was such a problem. And now their development is just off the charts, I feel like, with the ability to take guys who are unknown, who aren't great, but have good stuff, and at least turn them into competent, maybe not even dominant, but just competent players that could play on any team. That says a lot about who's running the team.
Yeah, a lot of credit goes to Stearns. A lot of credit goes to Jeremy Hefner and their whatever the pitching lab is. I don't know what the pitching lab looks like or what it actually is, but it's impressive. Whatever they're doing is very impressive. And I mean, it's sort of like a form of Moneyball, right? Like you're taking guys that nobody wants and you're like, okay, they can do this, this, and this well. We need to teach them this and make sure they, command the strike zone, whatever it is. And that's what they've done for a couple of years now, for a year and, 2 weeks. So we'll see if they're able to continue this. It's been impressive, but who the hell knows how long it's going to last.
And you have to get excited by it too, because he did it in Milwaukee. It's not like there's not a track record of his organizations getting this done. So that's why, if it was just a year and a week, year and 10 days, as you said, it would just be kind of, all right, let's see if Max Kranick and Buto, and even though Buto's had good years, but let's see if Max Kranick continues this production. Let's see if Griffin Canning and Clay Holmes can actually be competent starting pitchers, because he's done it in Milwaukee. We've seen his organizations and managers do it. And the lineup is where the concerns start to come now with this team. The bottom of the order, I'm concerned with it. I expressed that last week. I know I sounded like I was overreacting. I was trying not to, but I didn't know how else to say it. By basically saying the lineup might not be that good. But the top 4, you love. It's after that where there's some question marks. Winker came up big this weekend for them with the 2 triples on, was that Saturday?
Saturday,
and So he came up big, but you're really looking for something out of these guys. And what's going on with Vientos? But where are you at with this lineup?
Yeah, it's the bottom of the lineup. Obviously, it's the Vientos, Beatty, Siri sort of area there, where it's just there might be 6 hits combined out of the 3 of them all season long. That's where the problem lies. Siri is an electric player. When he gets on base, he's basically on second. He essentially stole the game on Saturday night, getting to third base, within one batter. That basically won them the game. It just set up obviously the Lindor sac fly, but he's 1 for 17, I think. Beatty has 2 hits on the year. The Beatty experiment is clearly over. The guy can't play in the major leagues. He has to go. And by the way, it doesn't get any better when you bring Luis Angel Acuna and start him at second base, because he's not very good either offensively. So you need Jeff McNeil to come back. I think he saves the rest of this lineup, the bottom of the lineup, which is the rest of this lineup. I think McNeil is that big of a key for this team. And Vientos, I mean, he wasn't terrible in this series, but he still does not look like the guy we saw last season. He hit the ball hard, but you got to see more. You got to see more.
He looks like the player from 2 years ago that got called up
Saturday night.
Yep, and you were spot on. He's exactly the player 2 years ago when Buck Showalter called those young guys up and the organization called them all up. And you watch Vientos play, and Vientos hadn't gotten the hype in spring training or in the minors that Mauricio and Beatty had gotten. So it wasn't like he came up with these great expectations, and he didn't play well, and it kind of just, you wrote him off, right? It was just, he's not really a part of this team. He's not a piece. He's probably a quadruple A player, and that's it. And now you see him struggling at the plate again. You see he can't really be relied upon to field at third base. It's concerning with Vientos, especially when I put my voice out there all offseason talking about how he's going to be an all-star. He's going to be one of the best hitters in the league. And you know that David Stearns and the organization felt that way too. You know that they weren't sitting here. Maybe they know more and they didn't expect him to repeat last season. But you know that they were not sitting there all offseason saying it's possible Vientos is a sub-200 hitter who can't play any defense, and we have to move on from him before the All-Star break in terms of just or before the trade deadline, in terms of just everyday player who we're looking to impact our team. The way he's playing right now, the way he played in 2023, that's what is going to have to happen if he doesn't turn it around.
That's where my mind goes, because you look at this team, and the team was built around him having similar production to what he did last season. You build this lineup not around him, but it's around Soto, and he's protection for Soto after Alonso, who is unbelievable right now, by the way.
Yep.
But so my mind goes to, when do you consider a change at third base? When do you consider the fact that you may need a major upgrade at that position?
I don't know when, but it definitely all starts when McNeil comes back and you just get rid of the other problems. It just knocks one thing off your list when McNeil comes back at second. So that is the first step. And then it's about evaluating. Also, I would say, I think, right now, the Mets offense hasn't showed up, and they're 6-3, right? They're second place. They're a game back of the Phillies. They're 6-3. They look good, and you know that there's a lot more left to give. But once they hit that inevitable, consecutive series loss in June or early July, and Vientos is still hitting around 200 and just not producing, then there's a question and a real conversation that has to start to heat up, and it'll heat up pretty quick, I think, because the deadline will be 5 weeks away at that point. But once they do have that first real struggle, because right now everything's like honeymoon, sunshine, and rainbows in April. Even when you lose a series, it's okay, let's just get back to the next one, and it's still early.
Right.
Once you start to actually feel the heat of the division race after June 1st, I think it always starts to ramp up a little bit. Then the conversations will start. But first, you got to get McNeil back and see how things shape out that way.
It's funny because Lindor, again, gets off to the bad start. I'm not going to sit here and complain about Soto. He does not look like Juan Soto. It's not anything abnormal. He's changed teams once again. He doesn't look like that MVP guy. But, I mean, for somebody that never watched him every day to now watch all these at-bats, it is crazy the way they do pitch to him every single time. I mean, they do pitch around him it's hysterical. The Mets have never had a player like this where he is this feared, or at least in my lifetime, they've never had a player this feared. But he's on base 9 straight games to start the year. So he doesn't look like the Juan Soto you're expecting or what we're going to get soon, but he's on base every single game. He impacts the game in some way, and his defense has been good. It really has. Besides that one blunder in Miami, the defense has been pretty good.
No, the way I felt about his defense last year was 99% of it, the routine plays, even tough plays, because he made a lot of difficult plays, especially early in the season last year, that you said, all right, I thought maybe this guy's taking fielding really seriously this year because he's trying to get the contract. And he was a Gold Glove finalist somehow. He should not have been, but he was.
No, of course not.
Which means he wasn't, even if you don't think he should have been, he was not one of the 10, 15 worst right fielders in the league last year. But when he does make the mistake in right field, they're so mind-boggling. They're not difficult plays.
Right.
And it's only a handful, as my experience from 1 year as watching with the Yankees. It's only a handful of times. 162 games. If he has to make 2 plays a game, so that's, whatever, 400 something plays, 300 something plays. He's only going to botch 4 or 5, but they're so egregious and they feel so lazy. And most of the time, they're not in costly spots.
Yeah,
it feels so bad that you're like, oh my God.
Like one of the mistakes he made was in Miami, and it was like he tried to short hop a ball, and nothing happened. Siri was right behind him, but he tried to short hop a ball into his glove. It wasn't even like he was trying to catch it on the fly, and it looked so bad. Like it was like, I'm like, what is he doing? But it affected nothing. Like a run didn't score. It was nothing. But I was like, yeah, that was not a good visual at all.
No, and I do worry about him a little bit in the Mets right field. When it's
a big right
deep,
field.
And when that ball starts to carry, when it gets warm. I mean, we saw the Winker triple, the second triple on Saturday should have been up in the corner. I mean, that thing was cranked. Yeah. And it ends up getting base of the wall in right. That's how big right field is. Yankee Stadium, it's third deck Barry Bonds clip for Soto, from a perspective of playing both. But that Mets right field, when that ball starts to carry and a pop-up just keeps taking you back and back and the park doesn't end, a pop-up carries at Yankee Stadium, you eventually get to the wall. Pop-up carries at Citi Field, you don't stop backpedaling. You just keep going to the wall. And that's where I'm going to worry about Soto a little bit. How does he play that right field corner the entire year in the summer when it gets hot? We'll see. We can't judge it now. But, yeah, when you're talking about him getting on base, and I think when the Yankees got him, there was a big narrative about, well, he regressed with San Diego. He didn't have a great year with San Diego, which we kind of spoke about the other day was not very true.
Yeah.
But hit 275. He hit 236 in the stint with San Diego before that. But that year prior, he hit 240 on the season. But he gets on base at a over 400 on base percentage both seasons that he's with San Diego. And that includes the time with the Nationals also. Yep. So he gets on base more than anybody in the league. We know that. Besides, literally the only guy that he doesn't get on base more than is Judge. And I think that has more to do with, it's not about the eye. It's just about the amount of intentional walks Judge gets in a season. Yep. But Soto's just such a special hitter. He's such a special hitter because when his floor is he's going to hit 240 with 35 home runs and a 400, or maybe not 35 at Citi Field, but 28 home runs and a 400 on base percentage. That's the floor.
And that's obviously not good enough for $50 million a year, but I understand what you're saying, and it's going to be better. I'm just excited to see him get going. Like, I'm excited to see him really turn it on. Hit his first Citi Field home run would be nice. But it's fun. It's not boring baseball right now. I like good pitching. So I'm good with this. This was a fun weekend.
One thing with Soto that I'm just, as a baseball fan, keeping in the back of my mind, this is not like a hater stat watch that I'm doing.
Definitely a hater stat
I'm
watch.
very curious if he hits or if he ever, or like when he hits 30 home runs as a Met, because he has some sick seasons of his career that are all 27, 28 home runs. I think he's more of a home run hitter now than he was when he was younger. I think he's incorporated it into his game a little more than since he was in Washington, much more level swing in Washington. Now he puts a little air under it, but he is not actually a prolific home run hitter necessarily. In San Diego, he hit 35. With the Yankees, he hit 41. He had one season of 30 with Washington. And for a lefty hitter, Citi Field is not a favorable park. I'm curious if he continues that rate now of 30 home runs. Just as a baseball fan, I hope he does, but I'm really interested to see if he keeps up the rate of 30 homers. Because once again, he could have 28 home runs, 115 RBIs, and a 415 on base, and it's a 6 season. And the home run total doesn't define Soto.
The thing was, like, he wasn't short porching him last year. Like, he really never was.
Probably
so,
had 3 or 4.
All right. So if he had 5, let's just say, still 35 home runs. I still think he better get to that number. Like, my expectation is he gets over that 30 number and is into the 30s. Yeah, that would be the expectation. I would believe.
You'd hope for the next 3 or 4 years, you have 30 home run hitter.
It's a big right field, Kevin. It's not the biggest right field in baseball. I mean,
no, it's not. But
he should be able to hit 30, 35 home runs.
But that whole right field, right center, center field, I just wonder how many home runs he hit, not only at Yankee Stadium, but in the division. The division's very easy. Hitters' ballparks everywhere. In the AL East. I can't actually speak on the NL East besides the only dimensions I know are the Mets and Braves and Phillies. Phillies, he should
he's a rake. Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what his home run total looks like with the Mets, especially because he's going to get pitched around. As great as Alonso looks right now, they're never going to choose. There's never a spot in the season where you choose to pitch to Soto over Alonso.
Well, you're gonna get more home runs to left center than he did at Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
Because that left center is brutal at Yankee Stadium, and left center at Citi Field, it sticks out a little bit. He's gonna put some into that. What do they call it now? The former M&M deck, the Party City deck, whatever it is now.
Yeah,
in left field, he's gonna put a lot over there.
That's where it's a much easier park. Is in left. So that's where they're the Mickey Mouse Little League Park.
Right.
It's left center. Yankees is a big major league park.
Yeah, of course.
We kind of had this conversation last week. Torrens versus Alvarez. How does that get sorted out if Torrens continues playing like this?
Love him. Forearm contusion out Saturday, has to come into the game, pinch hits, and rips a single. Should have scored Siri, honestly. I wish it was the walk-off. It wasn't. Lindor did it on the next at bat. How do you not love this guy? And
he's awesome.
So we talked about it last week, how great he is defensively. Really didn't play this much. He didn't play the 2 games because of the forearm. Kevin, it has to be. How do you not have the conversation, right? Like when Alvarez is healthy, if he's playing like this, you have to have the conversation.
You have to, because it's not like Stearns drafted and developed Alvarez either. This is not actually his guy. It's a guy that he got here and there were expectations for. But when Alvarez got called up as the number 1 prospect, Stearns wasn't even in the organization yet.
Right.
So this is a situation where I could see them saying, you got to earn your spot back. We're not giving you this starting catcher spot. You are going to play every 3rd day for a few weeks, and you got to earn it back. You got to show us something in these games. We'll play you based on matchups. Maybe you get 2 games a series. But Torrens is hitting 300 right now, probably hitting 280, 290 by the time Alvarez comes back. And you're going to have to say to him, he's better defensive catcher than you. He's hitting really well. You got to earn the spot back.
Well, that's where I think I would pump the brakes, is I just don't think he's going to be this good when Alvarez comes back.
How long's Alvarez timeline?
End of this month, early May, probably.
I don't know. I think he could keep up, not the 300 average plus, but obviously his defense is going to stay the same. Maybe he's hitting around 280.
Again, I love the backup catcher, backup quarterback, the most popular guy on the planet. I know Torrens technically is in the backup right now, but there's a lot of love for him, rightfully so at the moment. I I hope he continues it. I just would not bet on it. I wouldn't bet on that offensively he's going to keep this production up. Again, defensively, he's far and away better than Alvarez.
He's also not going to – Torrens doesn't give you any production numbers at the plate. And that's where Alvarez, I think, has a big advantage because Alvarez's 220 is much more productive in theory, you'd hope, than Torrens hitting 280. Alvarez is going to give you 2-3 run home runs, and Torrens just doesn't do that.
No. And you like him to do that.
I think it's good that Alvarez is going to come back, and there should be a little pressure on him. There should be a little heat here that he has to.
He hasn't felt any.
He hasn't felt any yet. It's not a guarantee that this is his job. That's how he should be feeling.
And I mean, the fan base has done nothing but praise this kid. I mean, I've gotten on the fan base multiple times for this, and I fell for it once 2 years ago when he came up and he had that month of June or July where he just could not stop hitting home runs. Mm-hmm. And I fell for it. Even so much so saying I would take him over Aaron Judge in that month. I did say that. Those words came out of my mouth.
I can't believe that.
I was one of these people, but I flipped and I'm like, we're sitting here praising this kid who's done nothing in this league. He's got a career under 715 OPS, and we're praising this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many fans want to sign him to a long-term extension?
That's ridiculous.
You morons. Please.
Is he a top 10 catcher? No, he's not.
No, I don't even have to think about it. No,
he's not even. Is he? But is he top 15? He might be top 15.
He might be top 15, but
top
10, no.
But top 10, he's definitely not. Because I did top 10 the other day because somebody said Austin Wells was the top 3 catcher in my group chat, and I said you're out of your mind. And then I rattled off 8 guys right off the top of my head that are better than him. Okay. And Alvarez was not in that list.
No, definitely not.
So, actually, he didn't even cross my mind.
I would much rather Austin Wells than Francis.
Austin Wells is a better baseball player than Alvarez at this point. Could change. I don't think the gap between them is too significant. Could change.
Alvarez is young. He's still young.
Yep. And year 3, a lot of times year 3 is the year a player finally puts it together.
Well, let's hope and pray.
So the Mets sweep the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays kind of get a win this weekend with their fan base when they bring back Vladdy, 14 years, $500 million. You sent me this. You broke this news to me. You sent me the Rosenthal tweet, and then the passing tweet hit after. But Rosenthal breaks it. The other guy, Mike Rodriguez, kind of broke it like 3 days ago that they were about to do it.
While I was staring at Vladdy in person.
Yeah. And the whole, I think, I know why fan bases do it. I get that there's an excitement. I think it was ridiculous and obviously not the case when, and this is not just in this instance, but Vlad's out there talking to a couple guys on the Mets. Who was it? Alonso, Soto. I don't know who else, but Vlad was talking to a couple guys. Maybe Siri was out there before the game on Friday.
Yeah.
And everyone's saying, oh, they're recruiting him. They're recruiting him. I don't think that any players talk about that stuff on the field. I really don't think that happens. Like besides a passing remark, like, hey, you coming to the Mets, one of those things.
Joking.
But nothing more than that ever, especially in April. And Vladdy is not going to be a Met. He's going to be a Blue Jay for the rest of his career. He will not hit free agency. Your thoughts on how this contract looks for both sides? Are you surprised by it? I'm surprised that he signed with the Blue Jays in the season. I didn't think that was going to happen, but he does, and they get it done. Where are you with this?
Good for Ken Rosenthal, by the way. It's the first story he broke without sources confirming anything and being like the third guy, so good for him. Big Ken guy. That's the first thing. The second thing is we both talked about it at length, whether it was together, whether it was just in separate posts, about how Vladdy just has to hit the market. Like, no matter what, he has to hit the market. And last night after the news breaks, I was really thinking about it, and I'm sitting there and saying, well, with the way these 2 off seasons have unfolded for Toronto, like they were so desperate, it was like they were bidding against others already. They were already bidders. They were already thinking about the teams that could potentially bid on Vlad Jr. without him even hitting the market. The Red Sox would have been interested. I think the Yankees would have been interested. I don't know how interested the Mets would have been, but we could throw them in there. And obviously Toronto, I mean, you would have had the top teams bidding for you, but I think you had the most desperate team who was making you offers. And I don't think he would have gotten more than this. I really don't. I think for him, it's a win. It's certainly not a win for the club. I mean, the amount of times they could have locked him up the past 2-3 seasons at a much cheaper price and refused to do so. You're paying a price for that. I would have never given him more than $400 million, but good for the Toronto Blue Jay fan that they're able to watch their star player, homegrown star player for the rest of his career play in Toronto.
And good for this ownership group, too, because they have tried to get Ohtani. They've tried to get Soto. They clearly are not a destination for free agents. They even tried to get Alonso, and it sounded like they were going to, and they don't, and they have to end up trying to lock up Vlad. If they lost him for nothing next offseason, that would have just been a heartbreaker for their ownership, for their fan base, really like a crippling moment for their entire team. And they lock him up, so good for them. You're right on that point. I think Vlad looked at this, and I think he was going big, most money. I think that was always his goal, was most money. And he looked at this situation, and he said, I'm not going to get $700 million. That's just not a possible scenario. And the only way you'd get closer to it than what you just got is if the Mets were in on this the way they were in on Soto. That's now the catalyst is, are the Mets willing to do everything it takes to get you? That's what drives up the ultimate bidding war now. And I think it's very clear that David Stearns and the Mets do not put a value on first base enough to give out that contract. They just don't. It wouldn't have happened. I don't think they would have been interested. I think that if he did hit the open market, it would have been an AL East battle between the Yankees, Red Sox, and the Blue Jays. And that's going to get you the contract you just got, as you said. So, and probably from Toronto. So you stay, you're comfortable there, you're the guy there, the fans love you. And that's it. I mean, good for both sides. Vlad locks up $500 million. It's a crazy amount of money.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And again, I was very against the Mets going after him if he became available. I didn't think they would, based on what you just said about Stearns. And I think it's great that I think now there's no real competitor for Pete Alonso. Like there's really nobody else. If Pete has a big year, there's no reason for him not to be back in a Mets uniform for the rest of his career. That's how I view it, and I hope that's the case.
Only team is Boston. They're the only team I could see. If Bregman, and he's not going to, but if he were to opt out and they thought that they weren't getting Bregman back, I could see them going down the road and trying to get Alonso. It's just not going to happen.
But if Casas has a big year, right, and he's healthy, it's almost like a lateral. It's not a huge move. It's not a huge upgrade.
Not. Especially when you consider the finances and the age.
Yeah, exactly.
You know who wins this also is Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker is a big winner.
Say that.
Yep. Kyle Tucker is a huge winner in the Vlad contract because two reasons. One, you could argue Tucker's a better player than Vlad.
Better player.
So right away, I don't know if he'll get more, but right away he has a case to get that contract. Two, he's now the premium lone, nobody else, star free agent position player in next year's class. So there's no one to contend with. There's no scenario where the Yankees could say, listen, the Phillies are offering Tucker $600 million. We don't think we're going to win this bidding war. We can fall out and get Guerrero. There's no scenario now for that. It's Tucker or you go to the second tier of position players. He made out great in this deal.
I don't think I think he'll get more a year, but I don't think he'll get $500 million. He's obviously not going to get 14 years. I mean, he's going to be 28. And he's had injury concerns. But let's think 10 years, $400 million. That is not off the table at all.
No, that could absolutely happen.
That should happen. Do you think the Yankees are going to be interested? Do you think the Yankees are going to? You don't think the Yankees touch this?
No, because I think you have to look at the reality of the Yankee situation. They have an easy, low risk re-up with Bellinger that they can just enter into if he has a decent year. If Bellinger's solid, they can just say, we're keeping him around. We like him. And they're basically going to give him the money they'll get off the books with Stroman and LeMahieu. They'll give him half of that for multiple years. And then the Yankees can pivot to Murakami and say, he's third base, first base. We need those two positions. He can play one of them, and we can give him the money. They also have Dominguez in the outfield. So where is the spot for Tucker if Dominguez is decent and Bellinger is decent? Because Judge is obviously on the team. Stanton's probably on the team. I can't see them buying out Stanton to get Tucker.
Right.
And Dominguez and Bellinger are on the team. Where is Kyle Tucker playing? And are you really willing to commit another $40 million a year to your outfield?
No, it's a good point. It's a perfect fit, but it doesn't make sense financially, especially with what Hal has told us over the past few years.
Does this not have Phillies written all over it?
It does. It's one of those desperate moves by them, and I don't know, and I don't classify desperate here as a bad way of talking about Tucker. I just think it's another reckless contract. Is really what it would be. And it would be a reckless contract.
They're going to get some money off the books this offseason, and they're going to go do that. Because we heard about them wanting to maybe get in on Soto here and be a sleeper team on Soto. And I do think that they thought about it for a second. But if you get Tucker next offseason, he will just rake at Citizens Bank.
Well, they also considered the trade for him just in general.
Yeah. Yep. So they're clearly, conscious of the fact that they could use, now that Harper's playing first, another stud outfielder.
Well, right. And you're going to obviously have Schwarber and Castellanos off the books. Now, 3 contracts at over $300 million is certainly interesting because that's what it would be with Harper, Turner, and then Tucker.
Yep.
And also, you got to remember something. Harper is amazing. And Turner is not the player that these guys are, but Harper certainly is close. The Braves have Acuna and a bunch of other studs. And the Mets now have Soto, right? The Nationals might even have a couple of really stud cornerstone players at some point now. The Phillies have it, but they probably need another guy, right? They need another guy to go along with Harper.
They do.
Compete with these teams with these big time superstars.
And we had spoken about it a few weeks ago, how Turner is going to turn into one of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball. We don't love the contract. We don't love the term. And I had said you have a chance when you have a player like Harper in his prime. All these big spending teams have the chance to pair a player. The Yankees paired Stanton with Judge. The Mets have now paired, however you want to slice it up, Alonso, Lindor, Soto. The Padres did it with Tatis and Machado. Like, who are you pairing up with your star to be their running mate? And I think they botched it with Turner. I don't think Turner is a real number 2 on a championship team. You can, correct that mistake with Kyle Tucker. You can now make a top 3 in your order, or however you want to slice it up, in your order that looks great and makes Turner look better if you do get Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, you're getting a mulligan here. And when you have an owner that, like their owner, that is willing to spend money and willing to commit serious dollars to players like that, I think, it almost feels like they're the easy favorite for him. Is it not sad that we have Tucker raking, by the way, on one of the more premier franchises in the entire sport, and we're not even considering them to bring him back?
And we don't consider it, and their fans don't even consider it.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's a full-on 1-year rental, and the most pathetic part is you have this 1-year rental in Kyle Tucker. You just made a huge trade to get him. This was not pennies to get Kyle Tucker. You gave up your best prospect and a good third baseman to get Kyle Tucker, among other assets, and then you trade Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
If you're trying to win this season, and you traded Cody Bellinger for nothing, it was a money dump. And you have a good baseball player there. I don't think Bellinger is a great MVP player as he once was, but he's definitely above league average. And he's a good player.
And you mentioned Cam Smith, who they gave up for him. Like, Cam Smith is a cornerstone player for that Astros team. Like, the Astros sit there are like, okay, this is a guy we build around in the next wave. Yeah. Like, he was a big-time player.
And when teams make these deals, like the Yankees getting Soto, when you're under the impression that it might be a 1-year rental, and listen, I always had optimism the Yankees would re-sign Soto, but there was always, and now we know they didn't, but there was always the notion that they might not. among every fan base, including the Yankees fan base. There was always the possibility that they might not be able to get Soto back. And they didn't give up a top prospect. They gave up Michael King, who's very good, and Drew Thorpe, who was their top pitching prospect, but he was not one of the top pitching prospects in all of baseball. He was not a cornerstone pitching prospect. So they gave up those guys. But when you do have to give up Cam Smith, it becomes like a Mookie Betts trade. They gave up Jeter Downs, who at the time, Jeter Downs and Alex Verdugo was a really good young player. Those are cornerstone pieces, especially Jeter Downs was. And you extend them right away. You do not make those moves without an extension. And now it just feels like the Cubs are on a straight track to not only losing Cam Smith, their best prospect, but to losing Kyle Tucker, who is a top 10 player in baseball, top 15 player in baseball, who you acquired for your best prospect and didn't win a World Series. They probably don't even get to a World Series. And now you're sitting there empty-handed.
And even if it wasn't a guarantee, you knew the Yankees were going to be involved in.
It feels like the Cubs might not be a top 3 team in negotiations.
Right. That's the main issue here is that nobody believes the Cubs are going to be a player at all.
No, they are completely written off in this. And maybe they surprise us. Maybe they decide to pull up their pants. And
I hope they do.
And surprise us. I hope so too, because, baseball's better with the Cubs being good. And obviously you don't want them going to the Phillies. But how about the Giants could be in on this? They've been looking to spend so much money, and I know they just got Adames, but the Giants are off to this nice start. That could be a big building block for them. There's going to be teams in on this that want to spend, and if the Cubs aren't one of them, that's a real shame, and it doesn't look like they're going to be. We got a comment here. D-Rels says, we're wildin'. Alvarez is definitely top 10. I'll rattle off quick 8 guys. Contreras, Realmuto, Adley Rutschman, Salvador Perez, Will Smith, Diaz, Raleigh, Wells are 8 guys that I think are better than Alvarez right now. I'm sure that we can come. Oh, Sean Murphy. There's 9. So there's right away 9. I'm sure that there's one more guy in the league.
Keibert Ruiz.
There you go. So there's 10
guys. Ruiz better than Francisco Alvarez? He might be.
He might not be at the end of the season, but right now he is. So Alvarez, not a top 10 catcher. Thanks, though, D-Rails. We appreciate it. I don't know if he'd be top 15. I'm not going to go through the rest of the
Connor Wong.
Right, but Wong might be more stable as a catcher than better defender. Mm-hmm. And he's not a bad hitter.
Better
hitter. Better. There's 11. There's 11. So he's not top 11. Alvarez is definitely not top 11. Alvarez might not be top 1 on his team. Louis Torrens is our guy. But we move on. So, Tucker makes out great in the Vlad deal. Vlad obviously makes out the best in the Vlad deal. But good for Toronto. They keep him. Yankees series, and then we'll go around the league. Yankees, I don't need too much time on. They have a game coming up soon. These games got moved back. It might snow today in Detroit during their game, so they have a game at 3 today.
What's the deal? So the game was supposed to be tonight. It's at 3.
Yeah, game was supposed to be the next 3 days were supposed to be tonight. So now it's 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock because when the sun goes down, it's going to be like 10 degrees in Detroit. So they're playing games. It's going to be, I think. Let me see the weather today, but it's supposed to snow.
There we go. Fun snow baseball.
Terrible. Right now it's 45 there. So it's going to rain, it looks like. No, it says 3 p.m. snow. 26 degrees and snow. That's tomorrow.
Tuesday. We love that.
Today's Monday. So right now they got a 45-degree day. Tomorrow it's going to be about 30 and snow. So that's the Yankees' next 3 games. Tomorrow just feels like I'm going to be at the dentist during this game, just ripping all my teeth out. Carrasco versus Skubal. I don't know how you even prepare for that, but we will, and that's what we have to deal with as baseball fans. That's what happens. It's the matchup. We avoided Skeens this weekend. You don't get to avoid Skubal also in that back-to-back series. Yesterday's loss for the Yankees, it stings. It's one you really want. I think it's pretty embarrassing that you don't get the ghost runner in against the Pirates back end of the bullpen in the 10th and 11th inning. You need to get 1 run in. Devin Williams gives it up, but who knows if that ball's even a double if Dominguez isn't playing 20 feet behind the infield because they had to move everybody in because there's a man on third. Tough loss for the Yankees. Series win. Keeping in the big perspective, series wins are what matter to me. Yeah,
the series win is what matters, but you have a dramatic comeback. You're down 3 runs in the 9th. You come back to tie at Grisham, who's been unbelievable so far, gets the big hit. It felt like one of those games where not that they needed a catapult, but it was they're just going to keep chugging along, and there's some momentum to be gained. And, to not score with the ghost runners it's one of the more frustrating things in all of sports, I think, now. When you have a guy to start the inning on second base with nobody out and you can't get him in, it is frustrating as all hell. But again, you're not going to freak out. You're not going to sit here and scream and yell. It's fine, but it's a frustrating loss.
It is, and it stinks when you use Weaver and Williams and you have 3 games coming up here. You don't get a day off in between. So you use your top bullpen guys and lose. That's a tough one. I mean, we move on from it, though. You hope they can get a win today. They really need to get a win today because of the matchup tomorrow. You don't want to lose your first 2 games in the series against Detroit, who obviously is going to be a contender for the NL Central for a playoff spot at the end of the year. But the Yankees pitching matchups next few days. Rodon, you want to get the win today, but Mize is pitching also. It's a brutal week for the Yankees here. Mize, Skubal,
Cookie wasn't that bad though. What was that, Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day that was. He wasn't that bad.
No, and the ERA is high right now because it's just one start. He's got a 7 ERA right now, but he didn't look that bad. Tigers lineup obviously
not the greatest,
not as good as Arizona's. So we'll see. We don't get the Gleyber revenge series this week. He's hurt. But
that's right. He is hurt. I saw that.
Grisham, Trent Grisham. That's where I wanted to go. All right.
Unbelievable.
Maybe Soto was the throw-in in the Trent Grisham. Maybe that's what we're realizing here. Grisham stunk last year. He was terrible, but he's a starting outfielder. He's not one of the outside of the top 90 outfielders in baseball. There's a place for Trent Grisham to start in Major League Baseball. And he's on such a tear right now. Ben Rice has hit well. They're making it very competitive when Stanton returns, probably within a month. He's already hitting. So I'm very fascinated to see which of these 2 guys keeps it up. One of them is going to fade off. But Grisham's a starter in the league, and he looks great right now.
I mean, just based on his defense alone. I mean, we see guys that just play for defense that are much worse offensively, even in his bad years, than Trent Grisham is. So you're 100% correct about that. He should play. And if you're keeping Judge in right field and your defense is as good as it could possibly be, of course you love to see Trent Grisham out there. But how long offensively can he produce? And I'm not even saying at this level because it's impossible, but like how long, like what is a realistically good season from Trent Grisham look like at the end of the year here?
Yeah, I mean, Grisham's best season of his career is probably the best you'll get, and that's 2021. He knocked in 62 runs, 15 homers, and hit 240 with an on-base of 327, OPS 740. That's ideally, or realistically the best season you'd get from Trent Grisham is his 2021
And is he going to start? Season. He's not going to start with those numbers because eventually you're going to have to move Bellinger back to center and Dominguez in the left, and Stanton's got a DH, or Ben Rice has got a DH.
What I like about it is that it adds a competitiveness to Dominguez's status. He's not able to just sit here and coast in his 3rd season now, which is considered his rookie year, but in his 3rd season, he's not allowed to just sit here and take it for granted and say, I'm hitting 200 and I'm not playing good defense, but there's no one to replace me. There is somebody to replace you. Yeah. With Trent Grisham. So I thought he should have replaced Verdugo last year, not because Grisham's great, but because Verdugo stunk the second half of the season.
You like the competition. I like
the competition.
Yeah.
And Grisham definitely is feeling good about it because, not only is he playing well, he was a starter in San Diego. This is a guy who is probably one of the best 75 outfielders in the league, right? Because of his defense, as you said. And he got thrown into the Soto trade. He probably didn't love that. They need room for Merrill Kelly. So they they get rid of Grisham as well. And he got stuck on the bench last year. How many games did he play last year? And, a couple of them were just pinch fielding defensive substitution. He played 76 games last year. He probably only actually played in 50 of them.
Right.
And, he gets a chance to run here and audition for a team maybe at the deadline, maybe in the offseason because he's a free agent. He gets to audition a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm looking at the baseball reference page. He's had productive seasons where He's driven in guys. He's hit, over 15 home runs in a year. I just can't believe he has a 298 OPS plus right now, higher than Aaron Judge.
I know.
That's what's shocking right now. But no, it's a good battle. It's a good battle in the outfield. And what are your thoughts on what you've seen from Dominguez? I want to ask you that. What you've seen from Dominguez through 9 games here.
Yeah, Dominguez, I'll start with the negatives. The gripes I have is he can't hit left-handed pitching. He feels like one of those switch hitters that Aaron Hicks is the same way. You should just hit from the left side.
Right.
Because you cannot hit righty.
Natural lefty switched over to the right.
Yep. And a friend of mine made a good point yesterday, and then I researched it a little bit, but it makes sense. When he got the Tommy John surgery, the first half of his rehab process, which is weeks long, he could only hit lefty.
Right.
He couldn't hit righty because he got the right arm surgery. So he was able to start taking reps from the left side. So in the last few years, he probably has a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand more reps at lefty than at right-handed. But he looks terrible from the right side. Left side, he's got a great eye. He puts the bat on the ball. He rarely strikes out from the left side. He runs the bases really well. He stinks in left field. Routine pop-ups are really concerning. Like the way he catches them, you can tell he is not comfortable until the ball's in his glove. And it's very scary. It's going to cost them sometimes this year. I don't love, though, that Boone continues to take him out in the 6th and 7th inning after his third at bat. He takes him out of the game now when they have a lead. And I don't love that because he's not getting the reps and he's not getting the confidence in the big spots.
Are you ready for his splits so far this year?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So obviously 17 at bats. He's as a right-handed pitching, as a left-handed hitter. He has 1 homer, 2 RBIs. He's hitting 412 on base, so no walks, and an 1118 OPS. Okay. As a lefty, facing a lefty as a righty, no home runs, 1 RBI. He does have 4 walks, but he's hitting 063 and his OPS is 411.
Yeah, so that confirms the eye test. Because I hadn't even seen the split. That confirms the eye test. Back to Trent Grisham for 1 second. My boy Will Thompson, Hofstra grad, he is now where he does scouting, and he tweets yesterday, standing in the way of Aaron Judge's 3rd MVP after a week and a half. Wilyer Abreu, Trent Grisham, and Logan O'Hoppe, just as expected. So it's just been, Abreu we're going to talk about in a little bit. But
and that's your guy O'Hoppe, too. You love him.
O'Hoppe, who's been awesome. First Angels catcher with 4 straight games with a home run, hit a grand slam last week.
Yep.
He's better than Alvarez, too. There you go.
There we go.
Alvarez, not a top 12 catcher now. We also had our boy Jonathan throwing Gabriel Moreno. There's 13 catchers
13
that Alvarez is not better than. But
Alejandro Kirk, do we throw Kirk in there?
Kirk, 14 catchers.
14.
Better than. And I'm sure that there's backups in the league that are really good that we're not thinking about. There's probably 2 or 3, as it works with backup quarterbacks who are better than the worst, 10 quarterbacks in the league. But anyways, we'll move off Alvarez. Dominguez from the right side stinks. He really looks terrible. And you just read the splits. I just gave you the eye test because you said the splits, and I was like, oh man, is it going to be closer than I think? Yeah. Am I just a moron? No, it's wide. The gap is wider than I think. His righty lefty split. He cannot hit left-handed pitchers, and here's where I have an issue with Boone the last week. There's 2 guys on this team that cannot hit left-handed pitching: Austin Wells and Jason Dominguez. So what does Boone do against left-handed pitchers? Bats them right next to each other in the 6 and 7 spot every game. Can you split them up? They are an automatic 2 outs against left-handed pitchers. And it's clockwork, man. 1 out, man on second or third. Here comes Austin Wells. Who's on deck? Dominguez. End the inning. Just don't even pitch the at-bats. They're not scoring the run. They're leaving them out there. And they're not even going to give you competitive at-bats doing it.
Are Wells? I'm looking at Wells.
Look at Wells.
Are they as?
They can't be as bad as Dominguez.
They're not as bad, but it's bad.
It's bad.
Same amount of one more plate appearance against lefties. He is batting 177 with a 693 OPS, and he's hitting 250 with a 995 OPS against righties.
Yeah, so there you go. These 2 guys cannot hit left-handed pitching, and it's not. They're not like Ben Rice. last year was very unlucky against left-handed pitching. A lot of hard hit balls.
Yeah.
Now he is, he looks good against lefties. He's unlucky. These two guys, total disaster.
Lost.
Not unlucky.
Boone.
Lucky if they get a hit.
Boone is funny with what sometimes the way he makes the lineup. I mean, there'll be days where, like, and I've heard the term punt lineup. Like, he'll throw a punt lineup out there, and he doesn't even try and hide it. It's like, oh yeah, all right, we're going with the B team tonight, and it's just nobody likes what he did, and you just got to live with it because it's just one game, probably the last game of the series. Maybe you won the series already. It's hysterical sometimes. He's got balls.
Yeah,
He's
it's
got
like
balls.
it's two. You win the first 2 games of a 3-game series. You have 3 games afterwards. You don't get a day off. Maybe it's a travel day, and it's like a 1:00 Thursday game in the middle of the summer. Weird.
He's got 2 guys. Maybe he wants to rest at the top of the order. He's like, I'm just gonna sit both of them today.
So
whatever.
Yeah, so it's like Bellinger, Judge, Goldschmidt all sit, and we're going to play J.C. Escalera in right field today. We're going to play Grisham in center. And we're also going to sit Ben Rice. So we're just going to put, insert AAA guy that we can call up for one day here. Right. And he's going to hit 8th and play first base because we don't want to play anyone good today. He does not hide the punt lineup at all. It's not.
You got to respect it, obviously.
No, well, right away once you hear Judge is going to sit that day. Because he'll tell you sometimes the night before, we're going to give him a rest tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the lineup is going to be a treat when you see that. And on the mound, it's always, Carrasco or Stroman, Warren. He'll never waste it on Fried. But it'll be just the worst imaginable. And then sometimes they win those games.
Yeah. Those are the best.
Like, my friends are always like, punt lineup. I'm like, we're going to win.
Are you worried about Warren at all? I saw a couple people tweeting about his velocity down the last couple of starts. Any worry or no? He wasn't great yesterday.
He didn't look great yesterday. He looks the way Clark Schmidt did when he first started pitching for the Yankees. If you remember Clark Schmidt's first year, he ended up being predominantly a middle reliever. Right. But same thing with Jonathan Loaizaga. They look great as starters for the first time through the order. And then the second time through the order, they cannot get off the mound. So, I don't know. With Warren, I still think he should be their 5 when Schmidt comes back and Heel comes back because he's just young. I just want to see what he has this year. I want to give him some run. But because you'll know at the end of the season, is this a guy we want to stick with or not? And that'll go a long way for you in depth. But we'll see. He might be injured. He didn't look great yesterday. He's having a lot of trouble keeping velocity up and keeping his break up throughout the start. That could just be an adjusting to things in April.
It's a young guy.
Yeah, but it could also mean he's got a little injury going. We'll see. But Warren, he's doing enough for them to win in his 2 starts.
Yeah.
So they should have. He went toe-to-toe with Burns in his first start.
The first game he was better, I think, than this start here on Sunday.
Yeah, and Banky says punt lineups, funny to him. Banky's the man. He says Brandon Hyde will do it twice a week no matter how the team has been playing. He does. The Orioles do a lot of punt lineups. That's something in the summer that I do because I look at all the division lineups for most of the year, and they'll have a couple during the season where you're just like, trying to win today or no?
I saw a nice Twitter thread this morning before we came on here. And it was just fire Hyde as many times as possible. And there was 2 spaces, fire Hyde. A lot of fire.
Hey, man, you want to talk about baseball standings right now and our prediction show? I'm ready to end the season in the AL East. Yeah. This is exactly how I lined them up coming into the year. And I got a lot of, mean hate messages. Won't even go to the lengths of what some people sent me in comments on TikTok.
No need.
But Orioles are in last. And I said they're going to be in last. And you know what? They're going to be in last.
You're going to take your victory lap on April 7th?
I'm not taking my victory lap, but I'm telling you there's going to be a day where I will this season.
Okay. Like mid-year.
I'm saving it for when they're actually,
like June 11th. You're sitting here.
Games behind the Rays. I'm going to say, they're.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then I'll allow it. But
Big Charlie Morton looked good in his first start, actually. Not to just go totally off the path.
Didn't he look bad in the second start though?
It's
Something like that?
terrible.
Yeah,
So,
evens out.
Yeah. But his start against Boston? He had like 6 earned runs, but 13 strikeouts or something. Maybe 10 strikeouts.
Let me look this up.
Yeah, go look it up because I saw a Yankee fan tweeted at Boston, and the Red Sox killed him. They're like losers, got K'd up X times by Charlie Morton. And it's his final line. It's literally the graphic of his final line, but it also says on it's like 5 earned runs or 6 earned runs in 5 innings.
Let's see.
What else we've talked about Yankees today? I mean, I'm cool with the Yankees. We'll see how they face Detroit.
He went 5 innings, gave up 5 earned, and struck out 10.
Nice. I mean,
There you go.
he still got it. Yeah, Orioles are embarrassing.
I guess. He's got a 9.72 ERA on the year.
Nice. Stroman territory.
Come on.
Around the league today. I'm good on the Yankees. You good on the Yankees?
Yeah, I'm good on the Yanks.
Volpe. Quick round of applause for Volpe. Good week. That's it, though. I don't have anything else.
That's your guy.
Yeah, he looks good so far. Looks good.
He's actually. I think I'm starting to hate Volpe a little bit.
Why?
No reason.
Is it? But
For no
I
reason.
feel the same way. Why with him? Because he's not outspoken at all.
No,
he's not cocky at all. See,
and
he's trying to answer me.
And he's Italian. Love that.
Yeah,
seems like a great guy.
Is it because of the way Yankees fans celebrate him?
Probably. It probably is that. And I'm gonna make a comment that might make you mad, but like he's the one guy with the torpedo bat where I'm like, this is unfair.
He's the only guy. He's the only guy that people are like, this bat's obviously.
Yeah, like because he stinks everywhere else without it.
It's
in every
I
other
feel
spot.
the same way, but everyone hates Anthony Volpe for literally no reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I think the short porch home runs because he was late on the ball and it got out because he got the barrel on it. Like that pisses me off a little.
But even last year, this is not new though. Last year when he was using his regular bat.
No, I don't remember it. I don't remember it like this.
Yeah, no, it was not as pronounced as it is this month, but it was there, especially in the division. Like the rival fans, they don't even hate Judge. These teams, nobody cares about Judge.
Well,
Red Sox fans key in on Garrett Cole and Anthony Volpe, and Cole is understandable. They kill him, they destroy him. Volpe, they key in on Volpe as if he's done anything to their franchise. He's done nothing. To them.
I think I think you're right. I think the Yankee fan put him on this pedestal that he didn't deserve to be on. I absolutely think that could be a reason. But
the fans and the entire organization.
Yes. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the Red Sox fan was just nervous. They were about to get the next Jeter, and they wanted to do whatever they can to stop it and just start the hate early.
Like he's got to feel it too when he's just in life. Like everybody hates me, and he seems like I
don't sense that at all.
Guy.
I don't listen. You would obviously know better. I don't sense at all that he's hated, like fully blown hated.
I think he's completely hated around Major League Baseball.
Like he's a top 5 hated Yankee right now.
I think he's top 3. Top 3 hated Yankee. And I don't think Judge is in the top hated Yankees.
No, Judge is not a top hated Yankee.
Judge is actually, I mean, there's obviously the postseason hate that he gets, but that's warranted. He should get
also from his fan base.
For it.
It's also from his own fan base.
It's from his own fan base too. But I actually think Judge is fairly beloved in Major League Baseball. Like I don't think that he gets bad marks from most fans.
I don't like a few players on the Yankees, and Judge is not one of those guys.
I think Jazz is one of them.
Oh, I can't stand Jazz.
And that's because of his antics. He's one of those guys that I didn't care for in Miami at all.
Yeah, I didn't like him either in Miami.
And now I sit here and I actually love him because he's on my team, and I like that the Yankees have that cocky attitude in a player.
Mm-hmm.
But I can understand Jazz being hated. I also think Cole has gotten a lot of hate because of the Spider Tack saga and the Astros saga.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a big fan of Cole.
But I think those are the top 3 hated Yankees. Cole, Volpe, Jazz.
Okay.
Because no one hates Goldschmidt.
No.
No one hates.
They're also not Yankees, though. Like, they're not Yankees.
They're not. And Jazz is one of those rare guys that has very quickly acclimated and identified as a Yankee.
Yes. Yeah.
After a trade deadline. Like, he has fully become. He will never be thought of as an Marlin again.
Well, like, you go to the World Series. He was a big part of that team winning the pennant. And he had the full offseason as a Yankee. So, yeah, I mean, that's that. He's a Yankee.
Like Banky just said, and Banky, Orioles fan, big Orioles fan, obviously doesn't like the Yankees, said that Judge annoys him, but he respects the way he operates, and that's like, I felt that way about, Dustin Pedroia. I felt that way about a lot of Red Sox in my life.
When they owned you. Right.
But now, Judge is that guy and I think a lot of teams felt that way about Jeter.
I think teams felt the way they feel about Volpe.
But at least Jeter you could respect, like, okay, he is one of the best players in the league. Volpe's not, and people just hate him.
Okay. Yeah.
Volpe's not even a top 10 player in the Yankees. Not to keep doing top 10s today, but he's not even a top 10 player in the Yankees.
People hated Jeter. Like, people hated Jeter.
Yeah, Mets fans hated Jeter.
I hate Jeter. He never killed me, and I hate Jeter.
No, but he has thrown digs at the Mets.
No, I
every opportunity.
Jeter. I hate him.
But he got the standing ovation at Fenway. That really went a long way for me.
I think he's a loser. I think he's a loser.
He's not. He won 5 World Series.
I think he is somebody that's incapable of having fun.
He's one of the all-time winningest players. Trust me, Yankee fans had a lot of fun with Derek Jeter.
When Mr. Met and Mrs. Met walk up to Derek Jeter on the field of the NLCS and he can't even have some fun with them and just walks off the set, you're a loser, dude. Get out of here.
Well,
please.
It's an amusement park. He's here.
You got A-Rod and Poppy hugging them. Like, come
A-Rod's
on,
A-Rod. A loser.
A-Rod is the man.
One teammate of Jeter's ever didn't get along with Jeter, and that was A-Rod.
The guy that was better than him in every aspect of baseball. The one guy.
The Yankees had other players that were better than him.
Okay, but happened to play the same position as him.
Yeah, but not me. He had to get bumped. Jeter was better. Jeter was
he wasn't.
Jeter was a Yankee.
No,
He's
he
a Yankee.
wasn't.
And then A-Rod's 5 rings.
And then A-Rod's like, okay, I'll go become the best third baseman of all time. That's fine.
I do agree with you, though, that I wish Jeter had more of a personality. Because I even think Kobe, before he died, was starting to show personality.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And he was the same guy in his career. Same intense, like, I have to win at all costs or everything sucks.
I was telling you this yesterday. I sat down and finally watched the comeback documentary on the Red Sox on Netflix. And it was legit the greatest sports documentary I've ever watched. I mean, everything about it.
I hear great things.
It was truly the best documentary I've ever watched.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was a Red Sox fan, I would want to hold a poster with Derek Jeter's dead body on it and bring it to the stadium.
Jesus.
I mean, I don't know how they were surviving. I don't know how they were functioning as human beings with that guy and that team killing them.
Well, it's the way that you've had to experience Braves Mets. It's times 1,000.
Times 1,000.
It was so bad, the Yankees Red Sox. But I'm not going to watch that. I heard it's great. I'm not going to watch it because, and I think I've explained it once to you, I don't know though, I'm so fatigued by that Yankees group as a Yankee fan. It's not even that the Red Sox beat them in that documentary. That is not even the reason I don't want to watch it. I'm so I couldn't even watch the Jeter documentary that ESPN did. I watched the first episode and was so bored by it. And everyone else loved it. Everyone else was like, so great. This guy's the best. I'm so tired of seeing them. I want to be able to celebrate Judge. Judge is my favorite Yankee ever.
You want to celebrate a team of your own.
I know. I don't associate myself with those teams, really. I was 6 years old when they won in 2009.
The one thing I'll tell you as a Yankee fan, the first 2 episodes are all Yankees win, Yankees win, Yankees
They
dominate.
set it up. That's what my dad said. They set it up. My dad loved it. He thought it was great.
And
he lived it.
And you learn a lot. I mean, I learned a lot. And I read about that whole era, that whole series, that rivalry. But I learned a lot more than I knew. I would, if I was you, when you're real bored one day, one night, I would just throw on the first episode. I think you'll really like it.
I'll watch it eventually because everyone's saying how well made it is. I love
Yes.
baseball. I'll watch it eventually. I do have a spot in my love for the game for that Red Sox group also for the Ortiz Red Sox because it's just something that we grew up with.
Yeah.
But I'll watch it eventually. Probably not anytime soon. But I'm hoping that Judge can make a memory for us.
Yeah.
In our
For you, not us. You.
For us. For me and you. For both of us.
I'm hoping Soto can do that for us.
No, he can't. He can't.
For me.
He cannot. Around the league, quick, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
Giants are awesome. Padres are awesome. Dodgers are awesome. Diamondbacks are awesome. All of them playing in the same division. Maybe only 2 of them make the playoffs. As an NL East fan, it's probably a little reassuring that the Braves are bad so far, but you got to be a little concerned that the Giants and Padres are so much more in the mix early in the season. Obviously, one of them is going to slide, I think, but you got to be a little bit concerned, right, that they're in the mix like this to start the season.
A little bit. I think the Padres, especially with the early start, they were 7-0. I'm sitting there saying, wow, this team is definitely better than we had originally thought because they were always that team that was kind of like on the fringe. Will they be competing? Will they be selling at the deadline? Clearly, they're good enough. The Giants, to me, I think they're an interesting story. I love the manager. I love Melvin. I just don't know how good they are offensively to keep this up. Wilmer's not going to hit, 35 home runs and have a 900 OPS. I mean, that's not going to happen.
What if he did?
I'd be really happy for him because I'm always rooting for Wilmer. I'll always root for Wilmer until I die. But I don't know. Like, as much as I want to say, Kevin, they're going to keep this up, how can I say it? Like, how can I seriously predict that? Webb's been great. Jordan Hicks has looked good. Robbie Ray coming off the Tommy John has looked good. But can you expect this to continue?
No, I don't think you can. The Giants are the team that's the easy candidate for the slide, but I think we will sit here at the end of September and say, all right, Giants missed out on the playoffs by 4 or 5 games, but a proper offseason will put them right in the mix with the Dodgers and tough to say anyone's in the mix with the Dodgers until we see how this season ends, but they'll be in the mix with the contenders in the NL. I like the foundation that they've built and what we're seeing, and we'll see how their pitching holds up too. The back end of their pitching staff concerns me.
Yeah, that's what
I love. Logan Webb, he's one of my favorite pitchers in the league, but the back end of that staff concerns me a lot.
No, he's great.
And what are they going to get from Verlander all year? What does Verlander project over a 6-month span of pitching? I don't think it's great.
Like a 5 ERA.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the last year of his career.
Right, like there's nothing. What happened to that prospect they had? I guess he's not up or he's hurt. I'm gonna try and find it right now. Pitching prospect, lefty.
Let's see.
Kyle Harrison. He might be hurt.
Okay. Is he still a prospect or is he with?
No, he pitched last year.
Okay. Yeah, I was not tapped into Giants baseball last year. They have good pitching prospects though. Right now,
and they have a perfect pitching ballpark.
Yeah, they have enough, and we were also talking about them as a possible team for free agents before. You can rule them out in the Alonso sweepstakes if it happens because they do have Eldridge as their top prospect, and he's a first baseman. Bryce
and
Eldridge,
Lamont Wade's the man.
Yeah. I like what they're doing. They could be the team that in that NL West, they're just they play great defense. If they hit situationally and if Adames has a big year, they can be the team that plays spoiler all year with those top 3 teams.
What is their, like, I think they didn't even bring him up, to be honest with you, Kyle Harrison. Like, they could compete, right? Like, they could be in the mix. They could hold a wild card spot. They could be a game or 2 out. I just don't see this team at the end being one of those teams.
No, I don't see it either. I just too much has to go right for the Giants throughout their entire roster, top to bottom. If they were in the American League, and I saw this roster, and even if they started 4-3, If they were in the AL, I'd say this is a team that could definitely get in. In the NL, there's way too much star power on the Mets, Phillies, even the Braves, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks. You can't take the NL Central spot. There's way too much star power on those teams.
This team could win the American League. They're good defensively.
Oh,
they
yeah.
have a good enough top 3, and I think offensively they'd be good enough. They're great defensively.
If they were in the AL playoff bracket, they could definitely make noise. They're better than all the AL Central teams. And
yes.
they might be
probably better than the West team.
They might be, that's what I was going to say. They might be better than Texas. They might be as good as Texas. I don't think they're better than the Yankees. I don't think they're better than the Red Sox.
No.
No. Interesting point here from Ian while we're talking around the league. We got to get Ian on the pod too. Great baseball guy.
Absolutely.
He said he wants to hear where we're at with the Orioles after the Vlad contract. Everyone's extending in that division. Everybody's extending their best players. Orioles are only giving multi-year deals to pitchers over 35 years old. And that's a good point because they do have to lock up Gunnar. If you don't want to spend big, you should be locking up Gunnar 3 months ago.
Yeah, Gunnar would be the guy. I mean, I'm sure nobody's there yet with Jackson Holiday. But Gunnar would, 100%. I mean, if you could get something done with him around, and I don't even think they would be this lucky to get a deal done like the Bobby Witt Jr. contract, because that's going to end up being total robbery. But something in that range, right? Like close to at 300 million. He got 270 something, I want to say, Bobby Witt.
Yeah, it was maybe 280. No, not over 285, though. It was in that range. And Henderson's about to enter his arbitration years, if I'm not mistaken. So what does he have? Another 3-4 years left of service with Baltimore. I think he's probably a free agent in 2029. They should lock that up now. Because Gunnar, as much as I have critiqued Baltimore, Gunnar's one of the 5 best players in the AL. So when he's the guy that I'm prioritizing right away. And then Adley, how do you want to work the catcher position? That's almost another argument. Do you want to commit the years to it? I would with Adley. I think Adley holds up. And then you have Westberg. You have Bradish. How do you go about it for Baltimore? They should be jumping on this. They don't want to spend money. We learned that this offseason. The new owners don't want to spend money aggressively.
I wouldn't touch anything with the pitching staff.
I'd go for Bradish.
Really?
I'd try to get Bradish on similar to what the Yankees did with Severino. Severino had been hurt. Severino had been up and down through his first 3 years, and they got him on a 4 for 40. It's a nice workout for both teams. You please the fan base a little bit by keeping a hometown guy.
What's his injury right now? Is he coming off of Tommy John?
Let me see his, just so I don't get it right. Don't get it wrong. It's Tommy John.
Yeah.
I would, if he comes back, throws a little bit, I would definitely consider just getting him on a multi-year, because he's not going to get big money from anywhere else. I think you can keep him on a multi-year deal for cheap with really high upside there.
Is this the year Jackson Holiday? Like, he looks good. Like, he's played well. Do you think
it has to be?
Do you think he erases what we already have in our minds from him last season? Like, he erases that?
I think Holiday puts us in a position that when we are sitting here a year from now, we don't think he stinks as we do already. We think he's a good player, and next year is his make or break. He's got to be good this year, and then next year is the year where we're deciding whether he's actually great and lived up to the hype or not. But I need to see him be good this year. If he stinks this year, it's like a lost cause for Baltimore, I feel like.
It could be over. And then the players they could have gotten for him.
And it really bothers me. How many times have I come on here and talk about the Yankees' division rival Orioles and how much it bothers me the way that they've operated, because this team should be the best team in the American League. The way that they developed and hit on these high draft picks, that your core is cheap. It's like the quarterback in football. When you hit on the rookie quarterback,
you should be
spending the money then. Yeah. Why are they not spending the money now? And then you deal with your extensions later for these guys. You have a 2 or 3 year window that started before last season where you should have been the best team in the American League.
But the sad part is they're technically not out of it yet. I mean, technically, if these guys, if obviously Rutschman and Henderson continue to do what they do, Rutschman bounce back, Holiday steps up, Westberg takes the next step, and Kowser's a good offensive player, they could technically still, with these guys on the cheap, spend around them this offseason. I mean, as much as I've ripped them as you have, there's still the opportunity for that.
It should have been, and they half-assed it with Burns by not re-signing him. You can't trade for him and then not re-sign him. You had 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027 as the years where I'm looking and saying, we have the core of young players. I know that these players are going to be durable. You know, you can bet on them being durable and you can bet on them being productive through these years. Westberg's another guy, right? How do we build around them? It should have been Corbin Burns getting the trade and then the extension. Done. You should have signed a big free agent infielder in the last few years. They absolutely should have done that in the last 2 off seasons. I remember there were rumors about them signing one of the big shortstops and gunner moving positions, and they didn't. It's just, and Banky hits it on the head in the comments. You can let Burns walk, fine. There were plenty of replacements. You didn't get one.
Yeah.
And if he was, I think he was actually kind of set on going to Arizona. That's why my critiques are usually unfair. He goes, plays home. He gets a big deal. I think he likes more of the low-key West Coast kind of.
He's a West Coast guy. He's from baseball. Arizona.
Yeah, but to not find a replacement is pathetic because you cannot tell me that this offense is good enough. The only offense that's good enough for this pitching staff to win the American League is the Dodgers. So it's no knock on Baltimore, but you can't tell me this offense is getting through a playoff bracket with this pitching staff.
Charlie Morton was the replacement. Come on.
Morton had 10 Ks against Boston.
Yeah, that's the replacement.
Don't talk about any of his other stats, but he did have 10 Ks against Boston.
Against one of the best lineups in the game.
Yeah, prolific postseason pitcher.
Yeah.
And then the Red Sox in the AL East. And we'll wrap up there. Red Sox, this series with the Cardinals was ridiculous. This doubleheader yesterday was ridiculous. They looked like they were going to lose the first game. They make it happen. They win the first game. They didn't even have to show up to the second game. And the Red Sox just finally arrived after a slow start, slow first week. Devers is hitting the cover off the ball against St. Louis. And now things start to feel good for the Red Sox fans who just got that sweep of the Cardinals.
Willie Abreu is hitting 483. His OPS was 1,500 yesterday. It's 1,491 right now. That's insane.
Solid.
That's pretty good. That's what I'll say about that. They and listen, we knew Bregman was going to hit for them. We knew this was going to work. Christian Campbell has been amazing to start this season. And obviously Devers was the talk of Major League Baseball for a week. And now everybody shut up because he's 10 for his last 17, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So it's we knew they were going to be great offensively, and here they are.
Yeah, Christian Campbell looks great. Got the extension last week. Story,
awful.
Just guy, once again, you wish that you didn't have him, especially with the young guys you have coming up. Duran hasn't even really started hitting yet.
Not at all.
And he's one of their best players. Red Sox are really good, man. And the pitching is where the question marks have always been and remain. Besides Garrett Crochet.
Their staff is brutal.
Where are we looking besides Garrett Crochet? I think, you tell me if I'm a homer, if I'm a fanboy. I think the Yankees still have a better pitching staff than the Red Sox.
They do. I mean, you have Crochet, who's probably better than everybody, and then
But the gap between Crochet and Fried is probably not going to be large enough to justify him or justify their staff as better.
Hauk, Buehler, Sean Newcomb's making starts for them. I mean, oh my God.
Staff is bad.
It's really, really bad. I know there's a lot of injuries, but something's got. Is Sean Newcomb the same? Yeah, that's the big Braves pitching prospect. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They got to figure.
This is who they're throwing. And Walker Buehler, he so far does not look good. He was not good last year, Walker Buehler.
No, he was terrible. He had the He had a good postseason.
Red Sox fans should be excited here, too. This is not me saying they shouldn't be. They should be pumped, especially in this American League. This team could win the AL. But that's, we got to analyze this pitching staff here and acknowledge that this is
who are they getting? Who are they getting back besides Bello?
That's really it.
Yeah, they're gonna need a big trade. They're gonna need a big trade.
They're gonna need to
for a number two. For a number two.
I don't even think they do after they extended already Crochet. They already made the Crochet extension in the trade. I think that this is their staff for the year, and they signed Bueller. I don't think they get aggressive and correct it.
That can't be, because when you're competing, it's why watching that documentary yesterday is unbelievable. There really is nothing like this rivalry. When you are competing for this division, middle of the year, let's just say you're 3 games back of the Yankees. I mean, I know division isn't as important anymore, but
still is, though.
Because you want to compete with the top teams in your league, and you realize you have a massive hole at, your number 2 starter. Go get somebody.
I know that teams are losing, especially in the NL. The top seeds are losing every year after that bye.
Yeah.
But I do think winning the division and getting that bye means a lot, especially when you look at the way these teams are constructed. It's the difference between possibly pitching Fried or Crochet on game 1 versus Stroman or Bueller on game 1. It's a huge difference with that game 1 pitcher and getting the home field for that division series.
Well, I mean, you listen to executives speak about it. I mean, like, I had heard Stearns talk about it, and Stearns is like, yeah, we want the bye. They want the bye.
No one's afraid of the bye, even though it's been a little shaky the first 2-3 years.
They want the bye.
Teams, we're 3 years in, and I think teams are about 500 with the bye. You want the bye.
Need the bye.
I like the 16 playoff, too. I don't know if I'm in the minority there. But you look at the Red Sox, when we talk about their trades, they have Roman Anthony, they have Marcelo Meyer, they have Arias, they have Perales, they have Garcia, Cespedes. They have top 100 prospects here that you can trade and still feel great about your prospect pool and now feel great about your World Series chances.
Right. Go get another
starter. I want to see them, as a baseball guy, I want to see this team be aggressive because you're selling your fans short again if you don't.
As a Yankees fan, you might not want to see it.
As a Yankee fan, I hope that John Henry says, we gave you Crochet, we gave you Bueller, and we gave you Bregman. Shut up and enjoy the season.
Wow.
I hope that's the case. And I hope that they continue running Trevor Story out every day all season.
Right. Of course.
Because,
as one should.
It's possible that Mayer is better than Story already.
Yeah. And they're just not. They have to play Story.
Who's Leiden's guy? Is it Mayer or Anthony?
I don't know. Is everybody not his guy?
No, he loves all of them. I think it's Mayer.
Mayer's his guy?
Yeah.
They're all good young players.
Yeah, good young core for the Sox there.
Wish you had a farm system like that.
My team does. Spencer Jones.
That is not true.
Besides his 250 strikeouts every season, it's all great stuff.
Right, of course. Of course.
Everything else looks great. Will Warren, he shoved yesterday for 2 innings. All right, wrap episode 42. Episode 42, wrap.
42.
Done. We're going to start, we keep saying it, but we're going to start doing it eventually. Interviews. We're going to have some pre-recorded content, not live content, different trivia, drafts, some segments that you guys could tune into at your own leisure and whatever time you want to, some fun stuff. Then we're going to bring on some guests for those and just some general interviews as well. So we appreciate you sticking with us. Check out the playbook for New York Sports Shorts. Check out the Hardline Sports, or not just the Hardline, for the off-season football content, and make sure to look at BTO, Instagram, whatever, for everything that we have. A lot of draft content coming up. What do we have till the draft here? 13 days or 17 days till the draft. So keep an eye on that. New content. We'll have a new mock draft coming out today. So we will see you, though, later in the week on the Burrows. Appreciate you listening along, watching along. Check everything out on Spotify as well. Make sure to rate it, like it, whatever. Thanks. See you.